What up, what up, what up, what up? One second. Alrighty. What up, what up, what up? I need to, where's my phone? Where's my phone? I've lost me phone. I was almost late. I was trying to get the, I was trying to change an avatar right quick and it couldn't, for some reason I couldn't find the damn thing. So I was going like crazy to try to find that. Alright. Got that. So what's up? What's going on? Semi half-ass, semi not fucking prepared. That damn scuffling around with a damn avatar. I'm moving everything around on my desk. Everything's different than it used to be. Oh, this is gonna work with this box over here by underneath my microphone. It might interfere. Do not know. But let's see if that'll work. This thing's gonna interfere over here. Maybe that'll be alright. Something about. Yeah, can you hear me? What's going on, Cranky? Can you hear me alright? Trying to get shit together. Chair that. Chair needs to be up higher. Alrighty. That. Light here in case I need it. Right here. That. Face that. Should be right there. That should face that right there. Sure these settings, the audio settings are good. That looks good right there. Should be good there. All the way around. Just see what happens. Then I got it on time. Put this light somehow or another. Somehow or another I'll use this light. No, that's good either way. Right, let's see here. Hold on.
Hey,
Hey, what's up? How
I'm
you
not
doing?
bad. Just finished eating dinner.
Hey, man. Right on. I got my little motorcycle going too.
Yay!
So I did that one the other night. It's the only one I didn't work hard with one of those One of those things that Project D sent me to.
Oh, okay.
He served me, but I was trying one of them. It got so aggravating because it was like a free one. And you know how that shit where you're on your phone? That's the best I could do before I got so frustrated because it would keep putting a. No, it keeps putting them. I'm using my hand. You can't see my hand, but it keeps putting it. Then them little ads will come up, and it's like X and a triangle, and if you hit that, and it
Oh, yeah.
go down, and I go to do something else, and another one would pop up. One would pop up from the bottom. One would pop up from the side. It's like, oh my god, I got so frustrated. But
It's frustrating with that.
yeah, but I guess it's one of the ones that they want you to like pay for some shit to do away with that. I think it's the whole purpose. But other than that, so that's the best I got out of work. I'm trying to get another one better. Or no, but that one will work. Motorcycle. It's kind of in the distance. I'm in the distance. I was going to bring it up for the background. It's all I can do. Then I couldn't find it. I downloaded this the other day.
That
So
looks good.
I was half-assed late. And I couldn't figure out where it was at on my phone.
No, it looks good.
Anyway, so let's see how this percolates one more again. See what happens. I'm waiting on. Ain't heard from Solitaire yet. I sent her a link. I got everything moved different on his desk. Don't know how this shit's gonna work. I have a feeling some of this stuff's gonna have to move, separate from the mic, because I already hear it back feeding in my mic. Don't know how that's gonna work out. Find out. How was your day?
It was productive.
Good. Yeah. Me too. Over it.
Productive. I got some things done around here. There's some loose ends I got to tie up before I leave next week.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you going up north next week?
Yep. Tuesday morning.
Mm-hmm. Bye-bye. Going bye-bye. Long time
I
bye-bye.
get to go bye-bye for about 10 to 12 hours.
Oh, well. That's what you said. That's a good little haul.
Last time I did a 10 to 12 hour was when we went to Sedona from here. I was ready to jump out of the car like at 10 hours.
Yeah, right on. I know. I guess the longest one I ever did, and this was years ago, with I was still staying up close to where Boots at. I had some neighbors that were from upstate New York. I was working for myself at the time. They were going up and visit some people. He was taking off from his work for a week's vacation. He's like, "Man, you want to come up?" I was like, "Yeah, no, I can." I was working for myself. We had shit going on. I was like, "Yeah, I can take, I can take the time." I ain't never been up that way. I'd like to go, but anyway, we drove that one night. I think it was something. I don't know how many hours it was.
Straight shot.
Well, it was me and him did take turns driving a little bit. His old lady didn't drive, but she had a license. But me and him did take turns driving. But it's still either way, just riding, driving. I don't care whether it's driving or riding. That was a long haul from Raleigh, North
Or at
Carolina,
one point,
way
I
upstate New York.
asked him, I had a boyfriend at the time, and he was driving, and my son Vinny, the one up in Washington, he came down with us. He was in the back seat, I was sitting up front, and at one point I asked Brian to pull over because I was going to switch seats with Vinny. I had to sit in the back so I could stretch my legs out. It was like, oh my gosh.
Right on.
So I'm sitting sideways the rest of the way.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. We ended up doing some of it in the dark too. I remember driving, doing that trip, driving a little bit, and I told Justin, I said, "But you're going to this is as close as I've ever felt like I'm actually going to fall asleep at the fucking wheel. You need to start driving."
Wow.
Yeah, and it was got night. We was going up through the fucking some parts, a little bit of parts. They're not really mountains. We was going up the hills a little bit to get upstate New York. What's up, Trop? But anyway, yeah, I don't know how much. That's how long as Paul ever took. To me, about 6, 7, 8 hours is all I want to do. And then we stopping for a while, maybe overnight. After about maybe 8 hours, and I'm stopping overnight.
We didn't even start yet, Chuck. How you doing?
Yeah, you missed it, man. We finished the whole book. It was awesome.
I'm the
What's up,
honest
bro?
one.
No, we ain't started yet. Waiting for
Waiting for the other two.
yeah, we're doing roll call, which I know a Project D will probably be, but
Well, he'll
Solitaire.
be running late. Yeah.
Yeah, he probably won't get here but a little bit. But I was waiting on Solitaire. What's up, Bobo? How's it going?
Hi, Bubba.
But yeah, we should be starting chapter 3. If everybody will pull out their books and open them to chapter 3, we will begin. I'm just joking.
That
Like that's like that Bible in
sounded
church.
like school.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, that's what I was doing it for. Everybody, please reach in your
I
desk
had
and
a,
your history book and open it to page 41.
oh,
North to
I was having a flashback on that one.
right on.
And
All
that's
right.
exactly how all teachers do it.
Yeah.
Open up your book to page blah, blah, blah. And you, Cranky, you start off reading. I'm like,
Yeah, you're up first.
hey, I just got here.
Right on.
Yeah, your dog ate it. You don't
Yeah.
have a dog. You have a cat.
Yeah, right.
So your
Oh,
cat
no.
ate it.
Yep. Gotta eat my homework. Right. I have to start here in a minute. When so we came on 9 last time. I think it was about 9:30 if we actually got started 9:20 or something.
Yeah, next Tuesday I won't be here, but I might be in the chat, because we're driving.
Yeah. That's cool. Get in, listen in, or do whatever you missed. We'll catch back up wherever. Or if you do miss it, you just ask me where we ended up at. If you want to
I
me
get to listen to the replay.
yeah, and find out where we're at. Or yeah, there you go.
Uh, Mr. Truck is asking your
Oh yeah.
permission.
It's cool. Yes, you gonna need your hall pass.
Uh,
Check out the pizzas. Yeah, just make sure you got your
who
hall
is
pass
that?
because all.
Jeff Spicoli. What was this? Was it Jeff Spicoli?
No, that
All I
damn
remember
hall.
is Spicoli.
No, that hall monitors. Uh, whatever. We had to give them go a little bit, and I might have to begin. Might have to begin without all the class.
Might be just the two of us to begin with.
Just the two of us building castles in the sky. Just the two of us, you
He's
and
gonna
I.
want a pencil too. He didn't bring his paper, pencil.
Anyway, but give me something to write on. Anybody got where's my pencil? I'm thinking, but hot for teacher now.
Uh
Got
huh.
it made, got it made. I'm hot for teacher.
I wonder what the teacher's gonna look like this year.
Yeah, right. You like a pencil? Give me something to write on. That's good shit. Building castles in the sky. Just the two of us. You and I. Oh, yeah, I got you. Yeah, you can't use that damn notebook paper don't work good for that. You need some hemp paper.
Need something a little bit thinner.
Yeah. Yes.
Are you really, Bobo?
Are we getting flash floods up that
Ooh,
far already? We're so good right here. But Thursday and Fridays when we're gonna get our book. Let me check something right quick. Go Avatar.
Do what,
I'm gonna mute myself for a second. Give me a minute.
do what you gotta do. Flash floods they're kind of scary. Everybody have a good day, I hope. A productive day.
Hey, what's up?
Hey,
Hey.
All
how
right.
are you?
All right. I muted myself. I just dropped back. I was dropped back. You almost got a call. I dropped back. I was about to give you a wake up call.
Oh, I'm good. I'm just finishing up a series I was watching.
I
Crazy,
saw
crazy
it.
show.
See, I was like, well, let me check her out. Quick, make sure you're like,
At 8 o'clock, I had like 10 minutes left of the show. And I've been
ah,
watching this series like for 4 days now. And it was like the last episode. I was like, I got to finish it.
you know, you come in with your bike. I got a bike too when I do Avatar.
Oh, I don't know how to do those.
I thought you had a bike. Weren't you on a motorcycle last time you was on? You had a motorcycle.
No.
You didn't know. You didn't know. It was Darper and them Cranky. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, that's all I was telling Cranky how last week I made. It's all I could do to make that one without destroying my phone. Because that
Yeah.
product did. I said, send me that app where y'all generated those AI things at. So you sent it to me, but it's one with ads in it. And every time you try to do something, and the ad will pop down from the top, and then you got to exit it. And it's real small where you got, if you fine line, either you go to the ad or you exit the ad. It's like a little triangle. So I know y'all know the ones. So that was so frustrating. It was like every time I'd exit one ad off, go to like do some stuff on the damn app, something else would pop up. Something would pop up from the bottom, and you couldn't hardly be. And then you're trying to scroll, and there's fucking ads. It's like, oh my god, I get so frustrated.
They're annoying.
What app do you use, Cranky, for that?
Oh, mine is called, what is it called? Tune Me. TOONME.
Okay.
And you just use a picture of yourself and you put your picture up and then they put it together.
Okay. That
That
sounds
one
easy
sounds
enough.
Easy
easier. I
enough.
think I've seen that one. Like a cartoon. Tune Me.
And like
Yeah.
it's free? Like you don't have to pay anything?
It's free, but I ended up paying for the year because I have fun with it. I make
Okay.
pictures of my daughter, my kids, my grandkids, I
Okay.
do all sorts of things.
But in order to get like something with me buying a motorcycle, it would be free.
I don't know. You could check.
Hmm.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah, or they might have a free trial and just cancel before the trial's over.
Hmm.
Okay.
Did you see Trop Solitaire right before you came in? We was laughing about hot for tea. Wonder what the teacher's gonna like this year. Give me something to write on. Give me a pencil. Trot's like, I gotta go to. Can I get a hall pass to go to the bathroom? And he's like, he needs a paper. He's like, no, I need a paper. No, he said, my girl's solitaire.
A nurse pass.
You get nurses pass, meet you in the park. Yeah, roll twist on. We was talking about school.
What's up, truck?
What's up, Paul? I didn't see Paul come in. Baywatch, what's up, Baywatcher? Paul.
Bobo? Truck? Paul?
Just the two of us, you and I. School's out for summer. That's right. Shit, it's about in for winter. We go back. We were supposed to have open house Thursday. Of because we go to school next week here. But they canceled open house because damn, it's raining. It's gonna rain.
Okay.
That's the
Yeah,
reason they
Well,
canceled. They don't want water in the hallways, I guess.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
those teachers,
Because
the
there might
teachers
be.
wouldn't. They wouldn't want to have to get out and get wet.
Yeah, right. I
Or
mean, yes, but
clean the
Amy is
floors
right. I
after
mean, there
everybody
could be
walked
some
through.
flooding, but of course, that for what it's worth, I didn't feel like fucking going up to open house if it's fucking because it's supposed to be fucking raining its ass off Thursday, and it was Thursday when that hurricane gets closer to us. I mean, nothing. It would if it was regular school, yeah, they could do it, but I'm. It didn't hurt my feelings. They canceled the open house for Thursday. I ain't got to trump around through torrential rainstorms and drive and all that shit to get to the damn
Are they
school.
going to reschedule it?
Yes, but they got it scheduled for Monday.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, he's got to because this is his first year of high school, so we need to check that shit out. Oh, he's already been up there once. They've already been once. Like this past school year, they took like a field trip to the high school to, you know what I mean, find out where to hide it and smoke weed behind the gym. Oh, you know, had to find your ins and outs. See, that was like a cool spot to fucking duck in and hide right there. Yeah. Yeah, he's already been once the damn with the lay of the land and all that good shit. But still go 5 to 7 Monday. We'll go now. I'll just leave work a little earlier. Oh yeah, track school's out for summer. School's out forever.
School's out forever.
Fucking don't tell me Judas Priest, right? No,
Alice
no, no, no,
Cooper.
no. Cooper, Alice Cooper. Yeah, Alice
I'm
Cooper.
going to tell you after you guessed one wrong.
Yeah, that's all I got too. I barely got it all the way out before you started correcting it.
What
I'm
happened?
kidding. I was trying to guess it real quick. I
Guess
said, let
what?
me guess real quick. The song, School's Out for Summer. And
Oh, my
I said,
internet went out.
oh, and anyway, I said Judas Priest. And before I could like, no, and say
Alice
Alice Cooper,
Cooper.
you already corrected me. I was like, hell, you had me corrected before I got preached all the way out.
Yeah, I was already with the ah.
Yeah, I was like, Judas Priest is like, I'm thinking,
School's
Alice
out
Cooper.
forever.
That song came out when I was in middle school.
Oh, yeah. I should have come out when I was in elementary school there, I guess. Maybe. Yeah. Wait, hell, might not have been in school at all. I don't know what year in middle school he was in.
I'd be like, I was 72, 73, 73,
Oh, yeah.
74.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I didn't start school during that. So, yeah, I wasn't even in school. I was probably in a diaper. Yeah, I was born in 71. So,
I can't imagine you in
I
a
mean, I was
diaper.
probably out of a diaper, maybe, but I don't think I was probably one in school. So, I went
Hey,
ahead
Bobo.
while we was waiting on you, Solitaire. We went ahead and read chapter 3. We're on chapter 4 now.
All right.
We went ahead and nodded out that way. We read nothing.
No, we didn't. Stop telling stories.
We did do a little research when I was on my after work live because we was wondering about because we said something about, we could do pages instead of paragraphs, obviously, but being that Cranky had the paperback version, we was wondering if they were going, but we did at least the 2 pages we checked from the chapter 1, they line up. The pages are still the same. Even though I
All
think
right.
it's paperback, the book might be a little bit smaller. I don't know what. This is 9x6. I measured this, and these are 9 by
Mine's
6.
about the same size, 9 by 6.
So, chapter 3, what page is chapter 3 in your paperback, Cranky?
What was that? Say that again, please.
What what page does chapter 3 start on?
Yeah, so if you go,
Um,
because we double check for chapter 1, but to make sure it don't change somewhere along the mix.
hold on. It starts on page 41.
Yep.
All
All
right.
right. Yeah, we're synced in. First word is parking. Well,
Well, you got
obviously,
to read that little.
Yeah, the little note
I'll go
thing.
first because I want to start with a little bit.
Okay.
North
Start with
to north to Inuvik. The
yep,
point
chapter
of
chapter 3, North to Innovate. Yep.
the journey is not to arrive. Anything can happen. Prime Mover, 1987.
Okay. Just a
The
little
year I
flip.
Parking my
graduated
motor
high school. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
parking my motorcycle in front of a motel at the end of a long day on the road could certainly be sweet. Like finally exhaling after holding my breath all day. But best of all was sitting out in the morning. Whatever torments the night had brought, whatever weather the new day threw at me, when I loaded up the bike and swung my leg over the saddle, my whole perspective changed. Focus tightened into the mechanics and the mentality of operating the machine, and awareness contracted to the demanding per, per, what?
Hmm.
per, per, help, perdigum,
Um,
Peregrine.
Good.
demanding paradigm.
Yeah,
Paradigm.
that word.
Yep.
As I let in the clutch and turn the throttle, I finished the sentence, right?
Yeah.
My worldview expanded, so I moved into a whole new paradigm of landscapes, highways, and wildlife. Infinite possibilities.
Something like that. What I'm gonna before you start, Solitaire, I'm gonna try something. Let me see. I'm gonna type something in the just for the hell of it. Somebody, while we're reading a little bit more, somebody would in the chats look up and tell me the definition of that damn word, paradigm. Solitaire was on this since she started, so maybe since we're going around, unless you want to go ahead, finish this page. I figure just go like me, cranky, you. So it's just like left to right until we move around in the fucking stage, and I'll fuck that all up.
Okay.
Or I'll go. Either way, just so we keep it in order.
Travel
There you
travel writers often feel compelled to try to explain and justify the difference between being a tourist and being a traveler. They cite the difference. Oh, they cite the etymology of travel in the French word travail, labor, and point out that any independent journey outside the well-worn tourist routes requires wait, requires will, extreme will and endurance simply to keep moving forward. One of the most indefatigable, really, of serious travelers, Paul Truex, geez, explains that after one of his journeys, he hasn't had a vacation and he needs a vacation. But for most of his readers, the armchair travelers, it's only the vicarious, pristine experience they want to share, not the unhygienic, exhausting reality. The solitary traveler is frequently invested by others with an aura of romance, myth, and desire. So many people feel trapped in the workaday predictability of their lives, and their frustrations and dissatisfactions can be simultaneously stimulated and soothed by a non-specific fantasy of getting away. But like all fantasies, the dream vision remained free of consequences, and that alone was the deep code distinction between fantasy and reality. No consequences. Watching a movie or reading a novel might make you feel sad or frightened or inspired, but at the end of that experience, nothing has actually happened in your life. The experiences of real life, I'm hearing an echo. The experiences of real life were not like that, and I have certainly come to know. The fantasy image of a free spirit drifting without care or effort through some IMAX movie or breathtaking scenery not only ignored the darker possibilities breakdown, accident, injury, death it also omitted the simple joy killers of bad weather, indigestion, toothache, or diesel in your fuel tank. Anything can happen, and scenery is never neutral. So if I always felt a quiet thrill as I set off into the mysteries of the new day, it was often tempered by such realities, both potential and immediate. Leaving Muncho Lake before 6 o'clock on a chilly, overcast morning, for example, the danger was potential, but the code was immediate. I wore my full foul weather outfit of long underwear under the armored leather suit, heated vest, and hand grips on full. Thin um, balaclava, balaclava under my full face helmet, and the plastic rain suit over it all to help shield me from the cruel wind.
Okay, right quick, we're start. Truck said, the par diagram. I still can't say. He busted it up. There's a new paradigm for public art in this country. Says something about that's like somewhere to, like we display art at, I guess. A different journey was beginning as I left behind the relatively secure environment of the highways in the cities, and I struck off into remote areas of the rough roads and widely scattered little settlements. From that day on, I felt less like a traveler and more like an adventurer, or m- misadventurer, for I was very much aware that out here the consequences of pilot error or accident were increasingly severe. Fear was my co-pilot, and there was much to worry about now, in both imaginary and reality. Highway construction, or rather deconstruction, was the day's first obstacle. When I saw a pavement ending on a long stretch of the soft-looking dirt, I held myself tense and breathless as my wheels plowed into the deep, heavy morses of the ruts that could so easily knock me down. For several miles, my eyes were fixed on nothing but the brown dirt approaching my wheels, steering towards the more packed down areas as smoothly as I could, easy on the brakes, easy on the gas, balance, balance, balance. Then came the day's first reward. As I crossed the bridge high above the whole Lenara River, I glanced down and saw something large and dark in the middle of the water. It seemed to be swimming across, trailing a V-shaped wake of silver. So I slowed down for a better look. At first, it resembled a cow, but seemed unlikely, so I decided it was probably a moose. And I slowed even more. Then I put my feet down and stopped to watch. As the dark mass reached the far shore and climbed up to the bank, my eyes widened as I saw that it was a huge black bear, shaking itself and lumbering off into the forest. The characteristics of the birds in the far north were the ravens, flapping heavily above the gray sky, and occasionally a spruce grouse standing dumbly at the roadside. The morning seemed gradually to brighten a little, and began to hope that some solar warmth might ease my shiverings, but the day remained bitter. I stopped at a roadside clearing for a break, and as I stood looking over the expansive view of the river and its banks of the green and yellow forest, a big RV pulled in behind me. Its driver, a friendly older man, came over and looked at my bike and told me he had owned a BMW in the 1960s and now rode a Honda Goldwing back home to southern Illinois.
As we discussed our travels, I learned that he and his wife were on their way home from Alaska. And when I told him I was thinking of heading off the highway that day to some gravel roads, he hooked a thumb back towards the RV and said with a rueful smile, "She won't let me leave the highway." The destination I had in mind was Telegraph Creek because, well, because I liked the name. I first heard of it in an article in Equinox, the magazine of Canadian Discovery, now defunct unfortunately, in which the writer had pointed out that mapmakers seemed to like Telegraph Creek because it gave them a name to put to an otherwise empty region where northern British Columbia met the Alaska Panhandle. The settlement had flourished briefly twice, first during the Klondike Gold Rush, when it was the head of a navigation for steamboats carrying hopeful prospectors up the Stikine River. From there, they could travel over to the Yukon goldfields on what came to be known as the Bughouse Trail. Its history repelled with the Jack London style tales of starvation, scurvy, frostbite, and madness.
Oh,
The
wow.
town's
Right.
second life and source of name came from the American scheme to run a telegraph cable overland through Alaska, under the Bering Strait, and across Russia to connect with Europe. But shortly after surveying was completed, the project rendered pointless by the laying of the transatlantic cable. Telegraph Creek once again lapsed into the virtual ghost town, and the only present day visitors seem to be attracted by boat raft kayaking expeditions on the Stikine River or by the name. Another siren call for me was the romantic lure of an isolated storied destination which lay at the end of the road. Telegraph Creek was a dot on the map at the end of a long unpaved road, far from anywhere, the kind of place Brutus and I used to dream about exploring. In fact, it was Brutus in a recent telephone conversation who had urged me to go there. The guidebooks disagreed on whether I would have to navigate 74 miles or 74 kilometers of that road, but they agreed that it was rough and often treacherous. In fact, it turned out to be 112
Oh,
kilometers, near enough 74 miles, of dirt and gravel winding through deep forest and steep switchbacks up and down the walls of the Grand Canyon of the Stikine.
cool.
Gotcha.
In some places, the sheer cliffs of eroded, multi-layered rock did resemble a modest version of that famed stretch of the Colorado River, and sometimes the road was a mere ledge perched on those vertical walls, dropping off into a frightening abyss. My journal described it as a scary, scary road, and I was fairly rattled when I pulled up in front of the, I think it's Stiking, in front of the Stiking Riversong Cafe General Store Lodge and Boat Tour headquarters. All this was housed in one large white frame building facing the swift moving river. And I learned later that it had been the original Hudson Bay Company trading post, situated just downriver and had been moved piece by piece to Telegraph Creek. A few other abandoned looking houses and small church clustered on the riverbank, but only the river song showed any signs of life. The guidebook said that a few rooms were available there, but if they happened to be filled, it would be a long way back to any other lodgings. The cold, gloomy weather made the idea of camping uninviting, but once again, I was glad to be carrying my little tent and sleeping bag, especially when the owner told me he was closing for the weekend and taking the staff upriver in his tour boat to celebrate the end of their season. Then, after a moment's thought, he said that I was welcome to rent one of the rooms and stay there on my own. That was thoughtful, hospitable, and trusting of him, and I only asked what I might do for food. He told me there was a kitchen upstairs where I could prepare my own meals, so I bought a few provisions in the general store in the back of the building, including some fresh salmon from the river, and carried my bags to a small bedroom upstairs. I watched through the cafe window as the owner and his three employees loaded their camping gear into the motorboat, and my only regret was missing the opportunity for a tour of the river myself. I stood on the riverbank and watched the boat speed away upriver against a strong current and felt a little excited and a little fearful.
Yeah.
Apparently, the only the only other enterprise, Trina Ann Excursions, was also abandoned for the weekend. So the only living souls in town were the Mountie and his wife at the RCMP post at the other end of town because the Styx
Because
River flowed
oh, go ahead.
down to the Alaska coast between the two countries. I was virtually alone in my own town watching the flow.
Oh, I don't know where I'm at. Telegraph.
Were y'all able to hear me at all?
Yeah, yeah, I heard you
Upstairs.
right to the end. I thought you stopped. I was getting ready to start when it went to the parentheses on the next page, and then you started reading again, and I don't know where you stopped.
She stopped at you start at upstairs in the empty old building.
I just finished that
Okay,
paragraph.
you went all the way to the end of that paragraph. Okay, that's cool. That's fine. I just didn't know where you had lost you. Yeah, you broke up just right at the beginning, but I was reading. Okay, so I'm at upstairs. Then we're good. Upstairs in the empty old building, the silence seemed almost oppressive. Fuck. Now we're oppressed. What the fuck? Silence seemed almost oppressive, and only accentuated by the
Accentuate.
amazingly
Yeah.
accentuated by the amazingly creaky floors as I walked around between my small bedroom at the front and the shared bathroom and the common area of the kitchen and the sitting room. On the payphone, I called my friend and colleagues Alex on his birthday, and he was pleased to hear from me, though a little bemused by my tale of where I was calling from. The delay on the line made me feel even more like a voice from the wilderness. Vox Clamius, whatever the fuck that is. As I wrote in my journal, that's something I wrote in his journal right there because it's got words all wavy and shit. As I wrote in my journal, well, I fetched up some strange places in my travels and some places that were a series of ventures to get to, but this one of them, this is one of them. I slept soundly with my window open to the cool, fresh air, the murmuring of the river, and took a walk before breakfast on another chilly, overcast morning. Past ruined cabins and abandoned, moss-covered cars and pickups from the 1950s. A narrow path led up to a high lava rock cliff above a steep serene to an old graveyard overlooking the town. As I walked among the stones, reading the inscriptions, the bare facts of names and dates had all whole new reannounced for me, for I felt them as part of a story, like mine, a story of love and loss. I thought about Honey Joe, who had died at the age of 105 and was buried beside Mrs. Joe, who had outlived him by son of a bitch by 40 years.
What?
Then there were all the babies, children, teenagers, and younger men and women, and I found myself weeping for all the lost ones Theirs and mine. Ghost town indeed. High on the other side of the main road was a native settlement of prefab houses, and the map showed a road leading from the other 15 miles downriver to the ruins of a town called Glenora, Glenora, where the Hudson Bay Company post, now the River Song, had originally been located. In the afternoon, I suited up and took a ride out the way to see if there was anything to see, if there was anything to see. But as I picked up my way along the narrow dirt road, rain began to fall, turning the surface under my wheels to mud.
Where the road ended, I found only a couple of pickup trucks, boat trailers, and I straddled the bike and tried to turn it around. The tires slid in the mud, and I lost my footing, then leaped aside as the motorcycle fell over, leaving us both lying in the mud. Even with all the bags removed from the bike, still weighed about 600 pounds, and it took all my strength, slipping around in my muddy boots, to haul it upright. One mirror was broken and hanging loose, but there didn't seem to be any other damage, and I slithered my way back to the River Song through the steady rain. I hunted up a piece of scrap wood to put under the center stand to prevent the bike from sinking into the liquefying surface and falling over again. Tried unsuccessfully to fix the mirror, then had to closer look for other damage. Nothing was apparent, but I did notice the brake pads were looking a little thin, and it was possible that all that wet, gritty riding I had been doing had worn them more quickly than usual. It was hard to tell with everything gummed up with mud, and there was nothing I could do about it anyway, but it was something else to worry about. And still, the rain kept falling, hour after hour, and I began to fear the ride out of there that following day. If that 70-mile dirt road had been treacherous and scary when it was dry, what would it be like as a slippery mire clinging into a precipice? I didn't like to think about it, but I did. From the payphone at the Riversong, I finally got a call through Trevay to find out what was going on with the sale of the Toronto house. Apparently, the day before, while I had been hiding out here in the wilderness, unconcerned with any news from the outside world, the stock market had taken its own tumble into the mud. The Canadian dollar had plummeted again, and the formerly committed buyer had found an excuse to back out of the deal at the last minute. Just when I'd grown used to the idea of saying goodbye to that haunted house with all its years of family memories, it was back on the market and back on my mind.
Wow.
Just what
Just
I
on the short.
needed.
Oh yeah, I got it. Just on a short note, right quick, I'm gonna grab a beer and just that reminds because this is around '96, so that's when the market. I remember when the market crash was around then, right? Yeah, that's when the mid
I don't know.
'90s.
The Canadian market crashed the same time ours does,
I
or
guess, yeah, I think it was probably
Ours crashed 2008.
yeah. Well, that
correct.
was the second one, but yeah. Let me grab a beer right quick, Giannis, and
All
I
right.
think it's a so I
Okay,
don't know.
I'm gonna
Finish.
say this really quick and then I need to use the little girl's room. Hi, DARPA.
Hey, there's DARPA, and hey, Gina, I seen you come in a while ago.
Wait, Gina's in. Let me see. Let's see who's in here. Hi,
She said, "Sorry,
Gina.
she's late, but she is listening."
It
Okay.
might be Freeman.
And the
No,
little footnote reads,
you're building shit.
just what I needed. It's hard not to feel like Mr. All the Time Loser sometimes.
I think that, and I think that was like at the end. I guess that's probably what he probably wrote
Yeah,
me
you
to
can
show.
go ahead and finish. You can go ahead and finish that since it's all like kind of
I finished the page.
okay.
Oh, the rest
And
that
then
rest that little like
that page,
squiggly where the words are tipped to the sideways.
italic,
Yeah.
sorry, italics. Yeah, it's called
Okay.
italics.
Oh yeah. Well,
Squiggly.
that's what do I know
Okay, so
about.
I'm sorry. Just what I needed. It's hard not to feel like Mr. All-Time Loser sometimes. Rain and despair, bad combination. Have the feeling of being driven to the edge of a deep, dark hole, so to speak. Very aware of backing away. Don't go there. Okay. Although a troubled night, I was up at 5 o'clock, nervous and edgy, fixing a quick breakfast of orange juice, cereal, and strong coffee. It was still dark as I carried my bags out to the bike and through the ground, and though the ground was sodden, I was glad to see the rain had stopped and looked up to a clear patch of sky with stars and a planet. As I walked back to the door after the first load, I was stopped in my tracks at the sight of a fox, small and brown, with a white tipped tail, standing by the door and watching me calmly. At first, I was thrilled to see this elusive wild animal up close, but I realized this was unnatural behavior and it made me uneasy. The fox might be rabid, or it might have been tamed by someone from the staff feeding it. I couldn't know. When I came out with the second load, it was still sitting there, just looking at me. I worried about it, sneaking inside in search of food, so I kicked the door closed behind me. Just as the latch clicked shut, I felt a start of fear and cringed, remembering the door was self locking and that I had, oh no, left the key on the kitchen table. Oh man, it was 5:30 in the morning. No one from the River Song was expected back until later that day, and short of breaking something, my only hope of getting the door unlocked was the Mountie, and I couldn't very well go knocking on his door at this hour. I remember seeing a little ladder nailed to the front of the building, plank rungs leading up to the second floor, a primitive fire escape. My bedroom window was still cracked open. Maybe I could raise it all the way from the outside.
You broke up solitaire.
In the gloomy twilight, the bike's headlight glittered on the puddles and dripping vegetation as I threaded slowly and nervously through the soggy gravel and mud of the Stiking Valley. High, higher up, the road seemed as dry as it had been on the way in, and I made my careful way out to the main road at Dease Lake.
Okay.
The morning was windy and cold, but I was glad to be back on pavement as I sped north one more toward breakfast in Watson Lake, just over the border in the Yukon.
All right, now the product D's here. I don't know where you want to try to figure out. At one time, I don't know if you want to read with us some tonight. I was going like left to right, so I could keep some kind of order, like me, cranky, solitaire. I guess like a clock. I guess. Crazy
Yeah,
Hill,
yeah.
yeah, crazy hillbilly. Let you plan on got a book and plan on reading. I ain't just yeah. I don't need really just hanging and chat.
Hey, Hillbilly.
I don't think it's no need to get on the panel. It's backstage right now. It's no to get on the panel just to be there and not. This is reading. I don't think he's planning on reading. But yeah, I don't know if you're caught up with. You want to go one more round and get caught up where we're at, or do you
What
know
you
where
left?
we're at?
You left off the border in the Yukon.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm actually caught up.
Okay, cool.
What are we doing? Paragraphs or pages?
Whole
Pages.
page pretty much. Or we kind of like finish a page off to the next page if it's like it don't end on that page. Yeah, we're doing like the whole page basically.
All right, All right, back on the Alaska Highway, I stopped to marvel at the famed sign forest, where more than 30,000 town signs from all over the world were displayed in a vast open area. A custom apparently inspired by a single sign posted by a homesick GI during the construction of what had originally been called the Alkin Highway during World War II. Continuing westwards, bursts of yellow aspen dotted the dark green forest, and above the low tree line, the higher elevations of the rounded mountains were dusted with snow. Occasional lakes gleamed in the dull light, and once I saw a bald eagle swooping over the turquoise shallows. A few motorcycles passed me in the other direction, including 3 BMW GSs like mine, and we exchanged big waves of recognition. My own GS, apart from being muddy and missing a mirror, needed a new indicator bulb and another oil change, where I tried to do every 3,000 kilometers or so. Or so I decided to go out without lunch and get to the White Horse early enough in the day for the operation, or that operation. Sorry. By early afternoon, I had covered the 536 miles and circled the wide, neat streets of downtown Whitehorse in search of the necessary facilities. I carried tools and a spare filter to do the oil change myself, but I needed a place to buy some oil and drain the old stuff. At the Canadian lost my spot. Really lost my spot.
Oh,
We got to keep feeding ebook.
Yeah, I don't even know where I'm at now.
that's all right. We'll give you time.
The Canadian Tire store, if that helps.
Yeah. So I can go back and it takes me right to where I was, but then when I scroll a little bit, it goes way far. At the Canadian Tire store, I found the bulb
Yep.
I needed,
Yep, that's where you at. That's it.
but the mechanics were off on Saturday and no one else seemed to know where I could empty my old oil. They sent me to the Envirolube shop, who said they didn't do motorcycles even if I did it myself. And they sent me to the Honda dealer, which was closed. I surrendered to the fate and went into in search of lodging. I am going to let someone take over there while I figure out how to get this to flip pages easier.
Okay, I'll
Okay.
figure it. It was only like just a few more lines on that page, and that page was almost over, so I'll start there.
Yeah,
It's better than
about a
that.
paragraph.
The Westmark Hotel made for a sharp contrast with my previous 2 nights in Telegraph Creek, for the busy high rise was filled with people on bus tours, and my room had a view across an air shaft to the blank windows of other rooms. The restaurant also put to shame by the previous night's meal. The fresh local salmon prepared by Mayor Chef, he's talking about himself, Chef Elwood, his middle name, if y'all remember. And my own service had been a lot better too. Yeah, that's right. Your home cooked meal can't go wrong, right? For the waitress was inattentive, forgetful, and unaware of her own amplitude or amplitude.
Ineptitude.
In my journal writing during dinner, I toyed with the crazy idea of actually telling her the truth. You know you're a lousy waitress. But I noted, like so many other truths, pointless. However, the music that was playing in the restaurant caught my ear. In the previous year, I had always kept abreast of new music, not so much professionally, but as a music lover. But in the wake of my tragedies, I had left all that behind too. After being outside the pop culture loop for over a year, I was starting to hear some of what I had missed. And a little, I guess, what he put in his journal. This is what he wrote in his journal. Surprisingly decent music, unfamiliar country lists, but kind of smart, heartful too. Different artists and singers, male and female, intriguing lyrics, interesting arrangements, most unusual and unexpected here in Whitehorse. With everything else going on within and without, it was a surreal effect somehow. In all the pop music I've missed in my past years, I so have present, pleasantly surprised. So that's what Cody put in his journal. Next morning, the weather Newark showed 28
Ooh.
degrees Fahrenheit, and there was frost on my saddle. So I decided to stay around for a while, have breakfast, and call my mom on her birthday. No one answered the phone at my parents' house that morning, and after a couple hours of sitting around, I was restless and anxious to get moving. As I set off on the Klondike Highway towards Dawson, passing many ravens and a couple of coyotes. Yeah, I did coyotes instead of coyotes. That's how I say it. Coyotes. The weather had not warmed up much, but at least it was bright and sunny. At the Bearburn Lodge, one of those everything place that dot the far north cafe, gas station, general store, humble looking motel rooms, road maintenance depot, software, radio station, blah blah blah. The owner told me some oil, and sold me some oil and gave me a bucket to drain mine into. I spread my blue plastic ground sheet on the lot to lie upon, gravel lot to lie upon. Peeled off some overclothes and completed a successful oil and filter change in about 20 minutes. You want to start there, Solitaire, so I don't go to the next page?
I think it's Cranky's turn.
Oh, me cranky, my bad.
Reloaded and reloaded and resuited. I rode off feeling the small satisfaction of having looked after the motorcycle's needs. I crossed the Yukon River at Carmack, and now I was out of the mountains again, for the low forest stretched to the horizon in every direction. The deciduous trees in full autumn color already at the end of August. Stopping at a roadside stand called Penny's Place, I sat on a picnic bench and enjoyed an excellent burger, the best lunch of the journey so far. While
Nice.
discussing the weather with Penny, she told me that up there, spring and fall each lasted about a week. Three other motorcyclists pulled in behind me on heavily loaded Kawasaki dual sport bikes, like my GS, designed with high clearance, long travel suspension, and stout wheels to handle heavy baggage and bad roads. We shared some of our travel stories, and I learned that they were a father and his two sons from southern British Columbia on their way to Alaska, where they were planning to ride to the Arctic Circle on the Dalton Highway, the service road which followed the Alaska pipeline up to Prudhoe Bay. Not a highway at all, of course, but a gravel haul road for the oil company's vehicles. I told him I had my eye on the Dempster Highway, the equally misnamed dirt road on the Canadian side, which also crossed the Arctic Circle on its way to Inuvik in the Northwest Territories. As I prepared to ride away, we wished each other good riding. Keep the shiny side up and the rubber side down.
That's right.
More snow dusted mountains came into view as I approached Dawson at the end of the relatively easy day's ride on a dry paved highway under sunny skies. It was still early in the afternoon, and I only covered 565 kilometers, 350 miles, that day. But Dawson was starting point for the Dempster Highway, and I needed to make some decisions and maybe some preparations. In any case, it was pleasant having an early end to a day that wasn't quite so epic, and I was glad to check into another Westmark hotel, also filled with bus tours, probably the same group, do some laundry, and walk around town. Except for Front Street, the main road in, all the streets were unpaved and lined with boardwalks. Otherwise, the permafrost would have the paving up every year like wrinkled carpet. The boardwalk helped to give the place a real frontier town feel, along with a couple of genuine older buildings like the courthouse and the bank.
Okay. I was wondering what time of the year it was, so it's late August. Okay. Although the main part of town was a little tarted up for tourists with Klondike days, saloons, and such, behind the facades, what? Behind the facades, Dawson had the rugged, weather-beaten look of any small town in the far north. Several camper trucks were parked along the levees beside the Yukon River, among them a few VW microbuses with British Columbia and California plates, one with a smiley face tire cover, neo hippies. Another attraction in Dawson was the Jack London Center, which commemorated the writer's time in the area as a young prospector during the Klondike Gold Rush in 1897. The stories and novels inspired by that part of his life, including The Call of the Wild and White Fame, had brought him his first success and fame. By chance, I had recently come across a Jack London story in the anthology called The Very Richness of That Past, a collection of writing about Canada by visitors. The title came from a story by another American writer, Wallace Stegner, whose writing I would also come to love after the first taste of his work. The opening of London's story in Far County had relevance to my present journey, both literally and metaphorically. When a man's journey into a far country, he must be prepared to forget many of the things he has learned and to acquire such customs as are inherent with existence in the new land. He must abandon the old ideas and the old gods, and oftentimes he must reverse the very codes by which his conduct has hitherto by which his conduct has
Hitherto.
Hitherto been shaped. Hitherto.
hitherto been shaped.
Hitherto.
To those who have been protein faculty of adaptability, the novelty of such change may even be a source of pleasure. But to those who happen to be hardened by the ruts in which they were created, the pressure of the altered environment is unbearable, and they chafe in body and in spirit under the new restrictions which do not understand. This chafing is bound to act and react, producing diverse evils and leading to various misfortunes. It were better for the man who cannot fit himself to the new groove to return to his own country. If he delay too long, he will surely die.
All right.
Okay, DARPA?
The lady curator was just getting ready to close the museum for the day, but she talked with me for a few minutes about London's life and writing and dismissed a biography I'd read as sensationalized. She recommended a couple of others, and when I named a few books of his that I had read so far, she said I was in for a treat when I got his masterworks, like The Sea Wolf and Martin Eden. Outside the museum was a replica of the small log cabin in which London was said to have waited out his long dark winter in a bush further up the Yukon River. The ruins had been identified by a carved inscription, Jack London, writer and miner. He had allegedly left on a board inside it, and 2 copies of the cabin had been assembled from the original pieces, one in Dawson and one in London's hometown of Oakland, California. Back in the hotel parking lot, I talked to a man who had just come back from the Dempster Highway in his Jeep, and he shook his head as he told me it had been a rough journey and he had barely made it even in his four-wheeler.
Oh,
500 miles of dirt road each way, he said, with only one gas station in the middle.
Oh.
And there had been muddy construction zones where he had seen a few other motorcyclists having a hard time falling down and pushing each other through the muck.
ugh.
Am I still on the page?
Yeah, you good?
That night, I finally reached my mother on the phone and wished her a happy birthday. And she sounded worried when I told her my plans.
Yeah.
After Selena's death, I had leaned on my mom the most, not surprisingly, and my dad had been there for me too, giving strength and help and comfort when he could. I would never forget that first night back in Toronto, standing in the front hall in my father's arms and sobbing. It's so bad. Even after Jackie and I went to London, I had called my mother every day, just needing the refuge of her voice. And recently, when I had apologized for not calling so often, she had said, "That's okay. When I don't hear from you, I know you're all right." She and Dad had come to London to help us through that first awful Christmas, and later visited us in Barbados, not long before Jackie's passing. Earlier that August, when I hadn't felt up to facing the anniversary of Selena's death by myself, I had ridden my motorcycle across Ontario to Mom and Dad's house to spend the night with them.
Okay. You
Okay.
good?
Is that it?
Well, Frank, you should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
It's
Very good.
Slim. It's your turn.
Yeah, I know. I clip my voice.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said Cranky.
No, I don't say Cranky dropped out. I guess she'd be, but she.
Oh.
On the telephone in Dawson, partly to calm her and partly to calm myself, I made a decision out of loud. Hold on, give me a second. Yeah, let me add her back a second. Add her back to the stage. I'll switch this back around in a second. Okay, let me see. Let me start back where I was at. On the telephone in Dawson, partly to calm her and partly to calm myself, I made a decision out loud that I would go to the Arctic Circle at least just over halfway and turn around first time I fell down or at least the first time I fell down. Neither of us was much comforted by that idea. I had committed myself to a plan. At 9:30 at night, the sun was still hitting the hilltop behind the town, even that late in the summer, August 30th. And at 10:15, when I was still trying to catch up with my journal writing, I noted that I was still fairly light outside. And in his journal, he writes, "Still hard to keep up with this trip. Journalizing wise, even when I'm thinking even when I'm taking it easy. Too much happens in a day. That's all of Selena's wants. That's what Selena always wants to observe." In late June of 1997, towards the end of the Test for Echo tour, Selena joined Brutus and me in our scooter trash gang of few days, sleeping on the bus, traveling by our motorbikes to the shows, and getting herself all dolled up for the showtime. At the end of the show at Greatwood Amphitheater near Boston, I ran straight off the stage and into the scooter trash bus. Brutus and Selena were already aboard, and our driver, Dave, just set off across New England while I drawed off and changed. Then sat in front of the lounge talking and listening to music. Brutus and I raised a glass of the whiskey and Selena sipped a beer. Soon we melted off on our bunks. Selena claimed her favorite place to sleep was in the front bunk of the moving bus, and I jostled it through the night in the classic rest of the touring musician. Brutus had chosen a strange area for the next morning's ride in a corner of Maine, and Dave drove to the rest area nearby, where he could enjoy some motionless sleep for another few hours. At daylight, I rose to the sleeping Selena, and we all crowded into the narrow lounge and struggled into our riding gear. Brutus and I to the bikes, backed our bikes off the trailers. Selena climbed on behind me and rode into the White Mountains of New Hampshire, where Brutus and I arranged our re- reminiscences with the,
Rendezvous.
with the helicopter pilot and videographer. And for those
For
listening, if y'all ain't caught it yet, y'all know we like going back in time here again.
Yeah,
for the
it's
next
just such a. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Frankie.
for the next 6 hours, Selena traded her uncomfortable seat behind me on the motorcycle for an uncomfortable seat beside the helicopter pilot while he performed all kinds of aerobatics for the videographer and Andrew, the still photographer, who didn't much enjoy hanging out the side of a helicopter to shoot pictures of Brutus and me riding together. After that ordeal, poor Selena climbed on the back of the motorcycle again, and we rode another 6 hours to the Wheatcroft Inn in Lenox, Massachusetts. It was way, way too long of a day for her, and she was sore and tired and miserable. We all were. However, in one of her greatest moments, within 3 minutes, my little girl had changed from her leather riding suit into a pretty green dress, given her hair a quick updo, and was transformed into an elegant lady persona. Selena, the warrior princess, we called her. At
Oh,
dinner that night, the three of us, limpy, good humored, and Selena kept teasing Brutus about his bad planning and how tired and sore she was. Then, as we discussed the events of the day, Selena shook her head and said, I can't believe how much can happen in one day. She made me proud. A few days later, before the second half of the show at the amphitheater near Buffalo, New York, Selena was leaving to go back to Toronto, and I said goodbye to her outside the trailer dressing room. As I hugged and kissed her, I told her I love you and I'm proud of you in so many ways. And the last time I saw her, on the morning of August 10th, 1997, I had ridden ahead of her on my motorcycle to guide her through the back roads of Quebec to a gas station in Hawkesbury, Ontario. And once again, I hugged and kissed her and told her I loved her and I was proud of her. Now I was glad those words had been spoken, and I'm grateful for other good memories too. Most of our family travels had tended to be at my convenience at the end of my solo adventures. For example, when Jackie and Selena would meet me in Hong Kong, Nairobi, the Ivory Coast, or Paris, or join me for a break in a rush tour in Boston, St. Louis, or San Francisco.
oh,
But it, was that a period? Yeah, San Francisco. There
yeah, it
you
was.
go.
Okay. Okay.
Mm.
But just a year before, in the spring of 1997, I had taken Jackie along to Tahiti, Bora Bora, and Moorea for a couple of weeks. And at the end of it, she told me that the nicest thing about it was that for the whole time she had felt like she had all my attention. Typically, I hadn't thought of that as being an important factor. But in retrospect, I was sure glad I had done that. Sometimes, however, unknowingly, I hadn't been such a fool. August 3rd, August 31st, Dawson. Up at 5:30, shipping the ice off Saddle. Now at Klondike River, lodge for breakfast and turn off for Dempster. Should I try it or not? Ooh, I don't know. 238 miles to first gas stop. Current fuel ranges makes that marginal. Then there's the muddy story. Deep, slippery clay up here on the permafrost, the worst possible hazard when wet. Well, I'm here at Myco anyway, so something,
Mile zero.
stubbornness, optimism. I'm sorry?
Here, mile zero. You could say Mike. I was just saying you're here at mile Z. He's saying I'm here at mile zero. He ain't left yet.
It's pushing me that way. There have been at least 2 dry days since the Jeep guy was up there, so maybe. One guy at the Klondike River Lodge just asked the truck driver, how was the trip? He just shrugged. Muddy. Oh boy.
Oh, well.
At the start of Dempster Highway, a large sign announced that there was no emergency facilities available on this road and that basically you're on your own. Fuel was my main concern, and I kept the engine speed below 3,000 RPMs, went as light as I could on the throttle, and even pulled in the clutch on the downhills. The surface varied from loose gravel, where I tried to follow the firmer ruts left by the trucks, too long to long stretches of hard-packed clay, which were almost like pavement. About once an hour, I encountered another vehicle, big semis trailing long dust clouds, camper trucks, and the odd car or pickup. But I noticed it was a lonely old road.
One second.
Low spruce
Okay,
forests
Darby.
rolled for miles in every direction, gradually giving way to stretches of barren tundra. And I described the landscape as spectacularly bleak and barren. Small ponds at the roadside had a skin of ice at the edges, and the air was so cold that the bike's oil temperature hardly registered on the gauge. I covered half of the oil cooler with a piece of cardboard torn from the cigarette package, and that worked fine. Apart from the usual ravens, I saw a few gray jays and many willow. I don't even know how to say that.
Birds.
Birds. Grouse-like bird.
Like grouse. Yeah.
What's that?
Grouse-like bird.
A grouse-like bird, which at this season were halfway between their plumage of summer brown and winter white. I was riding slowly enough to identify the many birds of prey. Peregrine falcons, gray falcons, rough-legged hawks, and harrisers hovering over the open areas. A fox crossed the road in front of me, brown with a white-tipped tail like a friendly one back at Telegraph Creek. And I spotted a few hares and ground squirrels and a couple of caribou melting into the bush in the distance. I was a few weeks early for the big caribou migration, and I saw none of the bison and bears Brutus and I had encountered on our way to Yellowknife. Eagle Plains marked the halfway point on the Dempster, and I was relieved to see the long, low complex of buildings coming into view. Another everything sort of oasis in the wilderness. It included a gas station, restaurant, motel, several big outbuildings for road maintenance, equipment, a tall radio tower, and a windstock for helicopter landings. I pulled up to the gas pumps at about 1:30, glad to see that my fuel-sparing measures had worked. I had covered the first 380 kilometers without even hitting my reserve tank, never mind having to use my spare gallon can. It looked as tough I could make it to. Oh my God! It looked as though I could make it to.
I did that while ago with the same words.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Inuvik in another 6 hours or so, if everything went well, but I was aware that the rough stretches of mud and construction would still be ahead of me, so I was taking nothing for granted. A sign
One, yeah, one more paragraph, you'd be good.
uh, a sign at the restaurant door said, "Please remove wet, muddy, or bloody footwear," the last of which gave me pause, but I presumed they meant hunters. Large areas of land at the roadside had been signposted as native reserves, with hunting by written permit only. The walls were covered with framed photos and documents telling the story of the Lost Patrol, a group of Royal Canadian Mounted Police who had become disoriented and died of starvation just north of there in the winter of 1910.
All right, there you go. Next page. Okay, I'll go. Me right now, yeah. The Dempster Highway was named after. I get 3 words in. It's Matai
Mountie.
Mountie. Oh, the Dempster Highway was named after Mountie, who had found their remains the following spring. In the open
Wow.
areas, I'll light it here in In the open areas, I had noticed a long straight line of discolored vegetation cutting across the landscape. And from the other photographs on the display of the Eagle Plains, I learned that the track had been left. The track had been left by a cat train, a bulldozer-drawn caravan that had followed the Mazic lines in search of oil. However, the cat train, and when the cat, I mean like Caterpillar, the bulldozers and shit. However, the cat train had passed only once, 44 years ago, which demonstrated the fragiliness of the Arctic landscape. And he writes in his journal, amazingly sweeping views from here, hills rolling, tundra in distance, low mountains, the open area after Eagle Plains in crimson and rust colors, among rounded, elevated hills, brutal winds sweeping through the grasses and the shrubs and shoving me all over the road. When it was strong and steady, I was particularly riding side saddle on the corner of the seat, up and down and around the road like a gravel dike laid over the tundra. Don't get that twisted. Dikes, there's no real meaning to dike other than what y'all thinking of. Just north of Eagle Plains, a sign announced that the crossing
Not
of
what I was thinking.
Circle. I stopped to mark my claim to the new territory in the primitive animal fashion. A van pulled into the brutally cold, windswept parking area, and its solitary driver offered to take one one of the few photographs from my travels which had me in it, standing in front of the sign and spreading my rain suit covered arms. The next sign I passed announced the border with the Northwest Territories, and the wind seemed to suddenly switch to the opposite direction and then died. Although as I decided to the west delta of the
Whoa, wait. That whole sentence. Start over.
river, do I?
Never mind. Keep going.
What the hell did you do to that sentence?
That whole
What
sentence.
a that? Next sign, the next sign,
Yeah,
the next sign I
that's
passed
okay. Go ahead.
announced the border with the Northwest Territories, and the wind seemed to suddenly switch to the opposite direction. Then I died, although I described
No,
to the west
no.
delta.
Altogether.
As I descended to the wide delta.
Oh, I didn't get that. Then I died altogether as I descended. What did I say?
You like three of the words in that one sentence.
To the wide delta of the river, I followed the track of the dirt gravel through the walls of the shoulder high spruce and a few stunted tarmacs and shrubs in yellow and orange. Then evenly spaced dwarf birch and scrub willow reminded me of the creosote bushes in the Mojave Desert in California, one of many reminders of the desert landscape in the lower Arctic.
My turn to do words.
Yeah, right.
The road worsened considerably as I rode on, particularly in the areas of road construction. Just after a small ferry carried me over the Mackenzie River to Fort McPherson, a long stretch of road had been graded bare of gravel and soaked by water trucks, presumably to hold down the dust. An older flag lady with a walkie talkie was controlling the traffic on the one open lane, and when she waved me forward, my wheels sank into the greasy clay ruts. I rode as slowly as I could, gently fighting for control, but with zero traction available, my rear wheel slipped sideways, and in an instant I was down and sliding in the mud, the bike bearing down on me from behind in a slow circle. In those few seconds of slow motion perception, I was sure the bike was going to end up on top of me, but it slid to a stop just behind both of us, painted with reddish brown slime. I was muddy, but unbowed, seemingly unhurt, and grateful once again for my strong boots and the armored padding inside my leathers, which protected my elbows, shoulders, knees, and hips. The only apparent damage to the bike was a snapped off turn signal, which a little duct tape would remedy. But the tip over in Telegraph Creek had shown that I could barely raise the bike even without its load. I removed the tank bag, the tent, the sleeping bag, the gas can, and the right side luggage case, but the one on the left side was trapped under the fallen machine. It occurred to me then that one of my legs might easily have been caught like that, wedged under the hot exhaust pipe even, and I felt lucky for a moment, but I still faced the problem of getting moving again. My boots flailed in the vicious goop as no, is that vicious? Yeah,
Like
vicious
Yeah.
goop
yeah.
as I took hold of the bars and leaned down to wedge my knee under the bike. I put my body into it and strained mightily, risking heart attack and hernia. But despite my grunting efforts, the glutinous muck refused to let it go. Now I considered the reality that I should never have tried that journey alone. If I couldn't even lift the bike if it fell, judging from my experiences with Brutus on our first journey into the land of permafrost mud and rainy construction zones, it was likely to happen again.
Dang, he's having a tough time.
You're right.
Second time down,
Yeah. Broken mirror, broken turn signal.
turn signal.
A tractor trailer came looming down on me from the other direction, so I skated my way through the mud and off the road out of its way. I took a moment to collect myself and consider my plight, hoping the big truck could squeeze past the fallen bike. The flag lady came running from her post a quarter mile back to see if I was all right, and I was touched by this neighborly concern. I didn't like to ask her to help me lift the bike and was trying to decide if I would swallow my pride and flag down the oncoming truck and ask for help. I did not have to. The semi came slithering to a stop beside me, and a short, dark man in coveralls hopped down from the cab, asked if I was okay, then bent to help me lift the bike. He had obviously recognized my situation, and on remote roads in the Arctic, travelers helped one another, knowing that one day they might be stranded themselves and need assistance from a stranger. The job was easy enough with two backs and 4 feet on the ground, and my good Samaritan of the North helped me get the mud covered mess back on its wheels and pushed to the roadside. I put the bike together and soldiered on, making it to the next little ferry at the Arctic Red River. During the short ferry crossing, I had a chance to look more carefully at the poor, muddy motorcycle, and I saw there was more damage than just the broken signal light. The handlebars and shifter pedal were slightly bent. The plastic engine guard was broken, and the clear plastic headlight protector had been cracked by a flying stone, probably from a passing semi. The repair list for Fairbanks was growing. The ferry attendant, a friendly man who was probably from the Dene people of the Gwich'in nation, unless he was Chinese, told me the other motorcyclists had heard about from the told me the other motorcyclists I had heard about from the Jeep driver were Belgians, and one of them had hitched a ride out on an 18-wheeler, injured apparently. The ferryman seemed surprised that they could make it all the way and then crashed on the Dempster, but I wasn't crashed on the Dempster, but I wasn't. Okay, he wasn't surprised. I was worried. The ferryman produced a rag and cleaned my lights and license plates, then fetched some clear tape to fix the headlight protector. Tactfully, I asked if I could buy him a coffee, but he gracefully declined, speaking in the direct, almost monotonal cadence of the far north. So should we just go ahead and finish paragraphs or?
I don't know. If Dopper is still with us, I would say fair probably finish that paragraph, yeah, and then let Dopper start it from.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, finish the
Okay. When
paragraph.
he asked how I was almost monotonal the cadence of the far north. When he asked how I was enjoying my journey, I told him it was a tough going, but very beautiful, especially at this time of year. He agreed, then gestured up toward the rolling tundra above the delta and said, "From up there, it's like a painting."
God. All right.
From then on, the road was better, which is to say, not under construction, and I had a smooth, fast cruise with only a few of what my journal called yikes moments. On the narrow, hard-packed tracks between the gravel berms and the gravel berms left by the big rigs. Having lost a time zone at the hold on, I gotta turn the volume down. Having lost a time zone at the territorial border,
There you go.
it was nearly 9 o'clock by the time I approached Inuvik. But when I hit the short stretch of paved road which connected Inuvik's airport with the town, I felt relieved and exhilarated. 14 hours it had taken, but I had made it all 512 miles, and but for those last 10 kilometers of sweet black asphalt, it had been all gravel and dirt and mud.
Wow.
The first building I encountered was the Flinto Motor Inn, and with no wish to explore any further that day, I stopped right there. The Dempster is mine one way anyway, and the Arctic Circle is mine forever. Is this a song?
It says a journal entry.
Read that when it's in italicized. Like, does it show you like kind of like whatever?
Yeah, it's italicized, but I just
read that whole thing. That's what he's putting in his journal. So read that journal entry. And
the Dempster is mine one way anyway, and the Arctic Circle is mine forever. Late dinner in cabin lounge, large whiskey, decent Caesar salad, chicken on Kaiser, and red wine. Good music playing once again, Nirvana unplugged. Makes me think of Kurt Cobain. He shot himself, left wife and daughter behind. Hard for me to imagine, but I still feel for the guy. Thought so often wondering to Jackie and Selena, especially their ends, and have to consciously try to steer away from that direction.
I'll go from there.
Those are some thoughts.
Yeah, there's one more.
One
Yeah.
more paragraph.
Yep.
The next morning, September 1st, was dark and gloomy, and I felt tired and worried. The weather forecast had changed from rainy to cloudy, but the waitress told me she thought it was going to rain. I was truly fatigued and in need of a rest. Sore all over from tension and exertion, and I had hoped to spend a day in Inuvik, way up there at the end of the northernmost road in Canada. Maybe I would find a way to visit Tuktoyaktuk,
Ooh. Good luck.
a nearby Inuit community on the Arctic Ocean.
Okay.
All right,
But
finish the chapter up.
But if it rained heavily, I would be in trouble. There was only one way out again. The Dempster Highway. I like the way Cranky was saying dumpster highway because it sounds like a freaking dumpster
It
highway.
does sound like a dumpster, don't it?
The Dempster Highway, and if the road was no longer a mystery, it was still an obstacle. On a rainy day, I would not be able to make it, and I could get stuck somewhere for days unless I hitched a ride out on a truck like the Belgian had. So I was afraid, but my fear was not about falling or getting hurt or breaking down or having a flat tire, though those houses were certainly on my mind. Much more dangerous to me was the idea of being stuck somewhere with too much time to think and the feeling of being trapped. I decided I would take a chance on one more dry day and make my escape. Just as I started unloading the bike, the raindrops began, and I leaned on the motel doorway, bags in hand, dressed to go. What to do? Stay, wait it out, or go and hope I wouldn't get stuck somewhere. No answer really. No answer really. You can't guess the weather. I made a brief circuit of the little town through the main crossroads and a few stores, another big hotel, and the famed igloo-shaped church. Then I filled up with gas and I headed south. On the short paved stretch of road leading out of town, I remember riding the other way the previous night, feeling proud and exhilarated. Now I was frightened, weak, weeping, truly despaired. Despaired. I don't think it's despaired.
Dispirited.
Yeah, dispirited. And the paving ended. I found myself swearing out loud, fuck this bullshit, at the road and rain, my life, and whatever power might be responsible for all my bad fortune. But lacking the solace of faith, I also lack anyone to blame. And it's in this chapter, it's another quote. It says, "You can drive those wheels to the end of the road. You will still find the past right behind you. Carving away the stone, 1996." That was in
Nice.
chapter 3. We did that.
Yep.
We almost did that in an hour and two. God, look, we started at 9:30. We did that chapter and we almost did it in an hour. We did it in an hour and 10 minutes.
I feel like we started about like 8:20.
No, we started at 9:30. I looked right at the clock. I wouldn't lie.
Wow.
For an hour and 15 minutes to do one chapter.
Yeah.
Okay, so our next chapter, which I'm not going to be able to do tonight because it's almost 10 o'clock.
That was 40 some pages.
Okay, so this next chapter isn't anywhere near as long.
No, it's 20 some pages. How many pages? I don't know how many pages it was, but we did it. It was hit on 9. I looked right at the time when we first started reading. It was 9:30.
9, 10,
my
11,
time.
12.
I had to make
So
my
the next
font bigger.
chapter is only like 13 pages.
Yeah, we did like 22 pages on that one.
So let's see how much chapter 5 is. Maybe we can do 2 chapters next week. Let's see.
So I wasn't that late then. If you started at 9:30.
No,
Yeah, you weren't that late at all.
We only had a page or two in before you got there. At piece, we probably like went one time around, maybe twice. I don't know. That, yeah. Like I say, just out
I
of
was having a hard ass time seeing the screen.
and the chapter 5 is 20 pages. So we might be able to do 2 chapters next week.
you know. Well, maybe if we can. Well, I said I was going to try to go like 2 hours with it. We can, which we're right there at it. But should we start, especially you, Summer, or Solitaire? You got to get out with me to start it closer to start reading right at 9. Maybe we can get a little bit further into it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm going to read it in. I don't want to rush it either. I'm like, fucking power read. And that was good. Plus, I got one. That sentence was full of all kinds of big words. And big words keep us. I'll be glad when they get into the States. I think when he
Yeah,
gets into
one-
California, we might go
Yeah.
a little bit.
What was that one word?
Yeah, the
What was
one
that-
word I got.
that
I was
one
like,
word?
okay.
Yeah, that one word. Toyakatuke. What? Toyakatuke.
Look at it.
On
Gina's
the very
got to
last page.
All right, Gina. Great job.
Night,
all.
Gina.
Thanks. I'll probably whenever I
Good night,
wind
Gina.
down here, whenever I wind down here, I'm gonna wind back up on after hours after here.
Toya.
So I get yeah, I meant we stop. I don't want because I don't want to like read and I was gonna like go 2 hours, but I don't want to. I say we stop at the end of chapters, I guess, until we can get 2 down. Instead of stopping in between one.
Good night, Gina.
Yeah. So Gina, DARPA Gina said that you have a very good voice for this. Not sure what you do for a living, but you have a great voice for the radio or
I
for
saw that.
reading for audiobooks.
Yeah, you do have a nice voice.
Thank you very much.
You could audio.
Thank you.
You could audio. Thank you. Thank you very much.
There's a lot of bass in
See
it.
what's going on in chats.
It says something to do with his mic. Yeah, because he's got that microphone. He's told me about it forward his microphone.
It's too bad. It's too bad I'm blind though, and I can't see the words.
Do what now? That Project D? What'd you say?
I said it's too bad I'm half blind though, and I can't see half the words.
I was going to
Yeah,
set a
that-
lamp up tonight, but I got distracted. I want to have a lamp next time because I ain't got proper lighting over mine either to see it well.
So next week we're headed west to Alaska.
Is that what it? Oh, I didn't even look. Oh, it should say what the next chapter said, right? Is that what it says? Oh yeah, chapter 4, west to Alaska, and I'll read the little quote just cause. So we read it again. Shadows of the road behind, shadows on the road ahead. Nothing can stop you now. Ghost Rider, 2001.
I felt like that should have ended with a rhyme.
I was almost thinking with something else. Troubles ahead, troubles behind.
Bye.
Jones, you better watch your
Sing
feet.
us an Elvis song, DARPA. Kathy said, sing us an Elvis song, DARPA.
You see, I would, but once something's on the internet, it stays there forever. So
That's right. Are you gonna shut this down and start another one, Slim?
Yeah, I'm gonna do an after hours. I'm gonna stay here for a few more minutes. Probably let's go to even 2 hours. While I'm setting up a thumbnail. I set up a thumbnail, or not even. I just set one up. Where's my phone? Somebody call my phone. Somebody call my phone. There it is. Somebody call my phone.
I have a feeling that would end up in a few shorts and whatever
Well,
other videos out there on the internet.
You'll see it, it'll go viral.
If you did sing an Elvis song, which one would you sing, DARPA?
Oh, I really don't know.
we
Or
gotta
maybe
win.
scrolling through their feed and the short will come up of him. Other people, we have no idea who they are. They're
Nothing but a
pushing it.
hound dog.
Hey,
Flying over the town.
do y'all remember
Never
the
caught a
comedian?
rabbit in
That,
a friend of mine.
was it Eddie? I don't know if it was it Eddie Murphy that did it, but one of the comedians that did like the Elvis things, like if Elvis would always like he's like, yeah, he doing his movie, he can't, he'd always like sing his lines and shit, talking about Elvis, your line is you gotta win. We gotta win this race. And then was like, Elvis, you gonna get that lemonade, that cool, refreshing drink. Yeah. So I think it was Eddie Murphy that did that because he's like in his movies, he kind of like sung his lyrics and shit. Like, Elvis, your next line is you gotta win. We gotta win this race. You
That
got
sounds
some
familiar.
lemonade,
Got a pretty face, Chantilly lace.
Chantilly lace, and a pretty face. Ponytail hanging down, giggle in a walk, wiggle in a walk. Makes the rough world go round and round. Ain't nothing in the world like a brown-eyed girl. Make me act so funny, make me spill my money, make me feel real loose like a long-necked goose. Ooh, that's what I like. I'll put some. I'll be the one. I'll take one for the team. Try today. I'll get plastered all over the fucking internet with memes and shit. Yeah, let me see what we got. I'm trying to turn this phone back on.
Nice.
I thought she thought
Gina
doing a
and
page
Kathy.
about 2 damn chapters, but
Well, we can, dependent. Like I think next week we probably will because chapter 4 is really short.
oh, Kat said it was Eddie Murphy. Yeah, it was Eddie Murphy who did that. Yeah, it was in one of either Delirious or Raw, one of them stand-up things. One of the others. Gotta win this race. Yeah, I looked through some of them as it gets through there. They vary. Down in there somewhere, I kind of flipped through some of them. I think there's one chapter is freaking like 40 pages long. I think it better be a 2-parter. I might be exaggerating a little bit. Some of them, it was on Raw. Kathy's got the DVD. It was on Raw. Eddie Murphy. Yeah, I know it was. I thought it was Eddie Murphy didn't stand up. There's some funny shit. Both of those. Delirious.
Well, he's hilarious.
Yeah.
All
Fucking
right.
Bigfoot. It's a fucking Bigfoot, Gus. Big motherfucker said, bitch can't climb a flight of stairs. I bet she climbed the fuck out of a tree, Gus. She's a fucking Bigfoot. I love it. Every year y'all come in here, your Bigfoot wife tears down my fucking stairway. You burn
So
up
he
my
had some
fucking
crazy adventures. Like he seen that fox out there and closed the door behind him and locked himself out. He had to
right.
climb up a ladder to go into the upstairs
go through the
window.
window.
Yeah. And that road, that's real. I rode motorcycle and he ain't on a dirt bike. That's not easy traveling through on a 2-wheel fucking machine through that road he's talking about either. That's especially
Yeah,
that's freaking hard.
28 degrees. Jeez.
Yeah.
I bet it is pretty up there in late August.
And spring and fall only lasts a week.
Yeah. So I guess mainly it's either summer or it's winter.
Right.
No
Yeah.
in between.
I think did he say in this chapter? It was that last chapter when he said something about they had something about there was two things with their road crews, like they working on like 2 seasons. It was 2 seasons. It was
Uh-oh.
it was summer and road construction or something. He said it was like 2 seasons when it comes to road. It's like I think it was in the last one.
Yeah, they're either constructing or deconstructing.
Yeah, and
Uh
started
oh.
digging it. And all that
Boo!
false shit like he was talking about. I could see. I didn't really think about it. I guess it is real hard to fucking like maintain. You ain't got but limited time to fucking do
Yeah,
anything.
and like so the one stay he was like where like completely secluded. I mean, even the people in the hotel were gone. And then the
Yeah.
next day he was kind of like in a city where there was a bunch of people.
Hi,
Anyways,
Boo.
this is a pretty decent little chapter.
Yeah, I
This
missed
is
the what happened with he was missing a mirror.
Yeah, he did basically the same thing in the mud.
oh, he fell down
Slid in the
somewhere else.
mud.
Yeah. Yeah. He fell down previous to that. And first time he was so good getting up there. That second time when he really got on it, said he thought he could just lift the bitch back up then. But yeah, he laid it over in another spot before that.
And he got his oil changed during that chapter.
No more diesel.
Yeah. Yeah, no
Yeah,
more
no more.
diesel.
He did mention that in that chapter too.
Yeah. I like the way he's kind of persistent on keeping up with his, maintenance. He's 55,000 miles he's about to go because it's all about keeping
I mean,
oil.
fantastic that he's keeping it maintenance, even though he just keeps slamming it down on the ground,
Yeah, right.
ripping parts off of it.
Yeah, right.
At least he's keeping up with those oil changes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Keep it running right on. And
The
duct
heck with
tape.
the rest
Yes,
of the
you got
bike, right?
plenty of duct tape
right.
with it. Get plenty of
Oh yeah,
duct
he said
tape.
he's going to fix that blinker light. He's going to fix that signal light with some duct tape.
That's right. Duct tape fixes everything.
Yeah,
But he changed
and
his oil.
that was a nice little memory about his daughter going with uh, him and Brutus on the rush tour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it took me a minute. We was reading, and next thing I know, I was like, "Oh shit, his daughter's riding with him. What the fuck? How do we put him back and forth?" It got me from. I was like, "Oh, shit, we're back in the
I
A
can,
past."
friend
I
of
can like,
a friend of
go ahead.
mine drives buses for tours like that.
Oh, that'd be fun. Do you know like who does he drive
Yeah,
for? Anybody we know?
it's just she.
Oh, she.
It's a she, and a lot of the country women request her because they'd rather have a woman drive for some reason. But
Okay.
she's
That
driven a
seems
lot of
that seems
people.
odd.
Recently,
Just
was
saying.
driving for Hootie and the Blowfish, and then Justin Timberlake.
Wow.
And I don't,
I bet
I
she,
don't know if she's still doing Justin or not.
I bet she knows some secrets.
Oh, well, when I finally met her last year, she was driving for Kesha, and
Tesla?
Kesha.
Oh, I've never heard of them.
Yeah, it's a female artist, and I went to the Hard Rock to go meet her, and not Kesha, to meet my friend, and she couldn't wait for that tour to be over because she said she felt like she was babysitting. They get
Mm.
pretty wild on those buses. But she did drive for Willie Nelson,
Oh my
and
gosh.
and they
Could be
pulled
cool.
over because he was hungry, so they pulled over at some like a roadhouse.
Had the munchies.
Yeah, and she stayed aboard because you're not going to fraternize with the client. You know,
Right.
you're,
She probably had a contact high going on too.
if you're with me, you're part of the family. You come eat with us, and had her sit at his table.
He seems like he'd be a good guy.
And then she didn't have cowboy boots, so they stopped at some boot store. He bought her a pair of cowboy boots.
Uh,
Yeah, I'd hang out with Willie Nelson.
For some
Yeah,
ganja.
I would too.
She said he was really
On the road
nice.
again.
I'm on the road again.
Sometimes they don't, like she doesn't get the actual artist. She might get the band,
Right.
or she might get the roadies, or it depends how big their caravan is. The Justin Timberlake one is 5 buses.
Wow.
So I don't know which bus she's driving. I don't know who she has with her, but she's part of that one right now.
That'd be a cool job.
Yeah, yeah. Well, she's not married and has no ties, so she's having fun doing that.
Y'all getting paid to travel?
Mm-hmm.
Heck yeah.
I told her I was going to buy a big motorhome and she could be my driver. She says, I'll do it. I was kidding, though.
Yeah, it'd be good. Be a good time. But I had to go to the bathroom. I heard something about some Willie Nelson as I was walking away.
Oh, you missed the best part of the story.
Yes, I heard something about she drove for Willie Nelson here and told the officer she drove for Willie Nelson's son.
Yeah.
Yeah, Willie
Yeah.
Nelson invited her in to eat with them and bought her some cowboy boots.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
She got a contact high.
Yeah, well,
She probably did.
I walked past that motherfucker and get a contact high.
I'm willing to give that a shot.
Yeah, right. Right on.
Oh, he's got the best weed.
I should ask her next time, how did you get that job? How do you get a job driving like that? What was your contact? What was your way in?
All right. These keys don't open it now.
Bought a bus and put a website up.
Yeah.
Well, the company she works for is based out of Nashville. Or wait a minute, or is it Memphis? I forget. It's one or the other.
Maybe it was Memphis. Maybe it was. There's a song there somewhere. Maybe
I want to say Nashville, though. Not Knoxville. Not Gatlinburg.
No, it's just, well, we're narrowing it down.
I'm going to go down all the.
We'll just say Tennessee. Let's just.
How about that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Somewhere in Tennessee.
Somewhere.
I'm not famous, Kathy. Not at all.
Maybe it was Memphis. Maybe it was somewhere Sunday night. Maybe it was you. Maybe it was me. Something felt right. I think there's a song there. If not, I'll write it. But this already wrote, so I probably won't copyright it.
Well, heck, guys, I gotta be jumping off here.
Stores
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Solitaire.
Good night, Solitaire.
Have a good day tomorrow.
All right, you too. Y'all have a good. Talk to you later. Bye bye.
Good night.
On the road again.
On the road again.
You just sang.
Oh, yeah. On the road again. So you gotta leave the stage. We can't talk shit if you stay there.
Well, listen, I said Elvis. No Elvis.
You sounded like Elvis when you did that.
It did. Wasn't meant to.
Yeah.
All right. No. All right. So, that being said, who's up in the house? What up? What up? What up? What up? Who's Sarah didn't drop the link. Everybody knows my fucking channel.
What up?
Drop it. I got a live set up. I think I got it set to go at 10:15. So I'll close this one down. Leave it as is. And we'll go fuck some shit up over on the after hours.
I can't afford to fuck shit up right now, so
Do what now?
nothing.
Oh, we can fuck shit up right now on the average road, right? But anyway, let's get you on. We're gonna roll out of here anyway. As always,
Alrighty.
let's make like a make like a tree and book. Make like a tree and book.
Okay, let's see it next one.
Let's make like a library and book. Let's make like a tree and leaf.
It's
make
make
a
like a
library
leaf
and book.
and get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, that works. That works too. It works too. Later.
Peace.
Oh, on the next one, I'll be in. Yeah. Till we meet again, y'all.